So now we're going to stop and switch gears a little bit, talk about how we can integrate a versatile authentication server such as Trust Builder, how we integrate with mobile solutions, and how we integrate with web access solutions. So when I talk about a web access solution, you can also talk about it as a point of contact server. Point of contact server meaning a user coming in from a browser or a user coming in from a mobile phone has to make kind of touch base with the enterprise, and that's typically what's called a point of contact server. A VPN, for example, could be a point of contact for somebody coming in that route, right? Or a single sign-on tool. But from a browser, a point of contact server is typically a proxy or something that's going to intermediate access. Point of contact servers have a very important role. They're making this connection. They're doing a lot of session management and caching. They're worried about threats and attacks. And they also typically provide some out-of-the-box authentication capabilities. Now, sometimes these out-of-the-box authentication capabilities don't go as far as you'd like. So maybe you're trying to integrate a Gemalto hard token or a Vasco hard token, or one of your business sides comes up with this biometric that they want to integrate, or perhaps they want to integrate a smartphone app as a way that if the user has their phone in the smartphone app, that you can authenticate that. So a lot of times when you get these more detailed or complex authentication needs, it's not supported out of the box with your web access management solution. And that's where a solution like Trust Builder can help. Some of the other areas or requirements that might drive these needs are when certain users require different types, right? So maybe the retail community needs one type of authentication and the commercial community needs a different type. Or maybe different branches or different divisions require different technologies. Sometimes there's a merger. So you've got company A coming in with one technology, company B coming in with a different technology, and everybody's looking at each other like, how do we support these, right? So having the flexibility to have different authentication types for different users, even when protecting the same resources, is important. There could also be device-based requirements. Again, somebody coming in over a mobile solution, maybe I want to trigger an advanced authentication requirement, or if it's a user just coming in over a browser and a trusted network, I'm going to trust them. Same kind of thing by transaction, high-value transaction, maybe I want to do something different, or multiple technologies at once. ID and password and LDAP, maybe an ID in Active Directory, maybe a certificate for others. When you're trying to map and have multiple layers, some of the access management products are a little difficult to implement that. So a lot of times you have to look and say, well, how do I do this? Do I have to create a custom solution on my own? So you basically have a choice. Are you going to build your own? You're going to use a proven out-of-the-box authentication server. That's what Trust Builder is. We support virtually any authentication capability. We go above and beyond some of the base multi-factor mechanisms like RSA, and we can support Vasco, Gemalto. Basically have a whole kitty of adapters pre-written that know how to do these authentications. We can do simultaneous mechanisms. We can support and span multiple repositories, even if your base product may not recommend that. And we choreograph this with a Java workflow GUI engine. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because every client ultimately may be doing something different. And if you want to get into what we talk about, the adaptive access control, you may want to do something different, something specific to your environment. Maybe you want to check a field in a database or an LDAP or et cetera, et cetera. So having the capability to express policy for your needs is very important, and we'll see how it gets done. And by the way, Trust Builder is reusable, scalable, highly available. So the choice of kind of creating it on your own or using something out of the box is a no-brainer when you want to go to a large enterprise deployment, ready for scalability. So how do we tie in? Again, I talked about separating and centralizing the authentication services. This is a simple picture showing users on the left, accessing applications on the right. Typically, the web access management server or the point of contact server is sitting in the middle. And what we're talking about is basically offloading these security services that I'm talking about, versatile authentication, adaptive access control, and transaction validation signing, offloading them to Trust Builder. So Trust Builder now handles how to authenticate the user, how to create the credentials, send back information, perhaps even map identities, et cetera, back to the point of contact server. You can also see an arrow on the right where applications, if desired, can actually integrate with Trust Builder as well. So you've got a way where you can kind of set up and have the application be unaware of what's going on, or if an application wants to be aware, perhaps do transaction validation for a particular transaction or class of transactions, they can make use of these APIs as well. So then Trust Builder ends up becoming the broker to the back-end identity and access resources, such as the validation mechanisms, if that's, say, a server to validate Gemalto tokens or data repositories or different services that need to be called out the